time we share, with a dash of this and a pinch of that, mixed all up with care. The best company and conversation, recipes and new creations. We're cooking up something good here at home. We are cooking up something good here at home.
Hello and welcome to At Home Today. How's the day going? Pretty good? I was just thinking, you know, I've got some friends that I really need to have for lunch, and I would rather prepare a dinner than a lunch. I never know what to fix. You think, well, I can make a sandwich, but everybody makes sandwiches. Well, maybe I should make some soup, but then what do you have with soup? Well, I never know what to prepare for lunch. Well, I've been thinking about that and been looking through some cookbooks, and you can make the most delightful lunch. It can be for maybe just a friend who needs to be cheered up, is going through a really rough time right now, or has had a real sadness in their life of some kind, or maybe just a girlfriend who has taken you out to lunch and you want to do a little something different, so you're going to bring her home for lunch. Or maybe it's a great aunt who's been such a sweetie to you and just loves you to death, and you want to make her feel really special today. Well, this is the kind of recipes we're going to prepare today. It's a ladies' luncheon special. Well, guys could go too, but a lot of men don't seem to like quiche. We're going to prepare a quiche Lorraine, okay? And along with that, a wonderful salad that has grapes and mandarin oranges, and a delightful little cool dessert made with orange sherbet. But before we do that, I want to read a letter that I got. It says, "Dear Arlene, your at-home show has really been a personal blessing to me. Would you consider telling us about the theme music?" You know, that's the music you hear every time that we come on the air. You hear that little song. She says, "Does it have a name, and was it written just for the show?" She says, "Thanks for being at home for me." Well, I'll tell you, I'm glad that you enjoy the music as well as the program. That music was written especially for our at-home program by Stephanie and Hollis Greathouse, who are just a really talented young couple, two really fine young people. And she came to work here at our studio for just a brief little while. And I always felt like maybe God let her come by just to write the theme music for us, because she came into my office one day and said, "Arlene, I hear about this new program that you're going to do. I got this little song running through my mind. Would you like to hear it?" And as soon as I heard it, I knew it was the right song. And so it became our at-home theme music. Then we needed to record it, and we found out that her husband was an excellent technician and an excellent musician. And so they went into a studio and they recorded for us. And we really like it because it's very identifiable with us. And so their name is Hollis and Stephanie Greathouse, and they're a real blessing to us. And that's our theme music. Well, get your paper and pencil ready, because we're going to get started with our recipes in just a minute. Quiche Lorraine and a wonderful grape salad. We'll be right back in just a minute. Well, if you're familiar at all with the Quiche Lorraine, you know that it has a crust, and it's an egg dish. And it's always, they make it with spinach, or they'll make it with broccoli, or they'll make it with all different kinds of fillings. But the basic Quiche Lorraine is what we're going to talk about today, because then you can put whatever you want to in it. Asparagus, they've used asparagus with it. Any kind of a vegetable. A mushroom quiche is unbelievable. I make one, it's called a mushroom onion quiche. That's real good. But basically all of them will have the same ingredients and kind of the same concept as this Quiche Lorraine. Okay? Let's start. Let's see. First of all, we're going to have one pie crust. It's a 9-inch pie crust that's not baked. You don't bake it first, contrary to some of the other recipes. And I'll tell you, if you're in a bind, the little ones that you get in your dairy case, they're fine. I'm going to tell you, if you're in a hurry, nothing like homemade, but if you're in a hurry, this is a very good crust to use. So you just put it according to directions and you set it aside. Then we'll take about 12 strips of bacon, and you want to crisp fry them, okay? And once you have drained them very well, Then you just crumble them up. They need to be real crumbly like this. And what I want to do is take my melted butter, or very soft butter, whichever you have, and I'm just going to take my spatula and I'm going to put some in the bottom. Put it over here so you can see it real well. I'm just going to spread it in the bottom of my pie crust. Now I know our hint today said to put some flour and sugar, but those were for fruit filling pies. That's not for this egg type pie that we're doing today. So this is just a couple of tablespoons of butter that we're using here. And that will make the bottom crust flaky, and we'll flake it up or crisp it up so that it will hold the egg filling. Because the filling that goes in this, pastry brush really would do better with this, you know. But here I am with a spatula. Did you ever do that? Start out with a job and you know you got something right over there in that drawer that would work much better than what you're doing, but do you get it? Well, sometimes you do and sometimes you don't. See, but I'm almost done. That's my principle. Well, I'm almost done, so I don't need to dirty another thing. Well, you get the idea anyway, right? Okay, now we're going to put our crumbled bacon in the bottom of this. This is 12 slices, and you have to crisp fry it because you don't want any grease coming out into your eggs when you do the quiche. Okay, spread it evenly over the bottom of the crust. Set that aside. Now we're going to take our eggs, which I'm going to put these in the bowl. Out of some of the bacon grease that you have fried these also, you're going to make sure that you leave a little bit in the fry pan because you're going to brown some of your onion. And you want to be sure that your eggs are at room temperature, okay? So set those out. Let's put our bacon grease, get it good and hot, because we want to brown up these onions very quickly. Now you can add mushrooms, you can add green pepper, you can add green onions, chives, you name it. You can put just about anything in a quiche that you want, really, to flavor it. Depends on what your family likes. Depends on the kind of cheese that they like is the kind of cheese that you would use when you do your quiche. And I like to have the onion very, very finely chopped like this. This is just great because, again, you don't want a big piece of onion or garlic or anything else in your mouth. Sometimes doesn't taste very good. This will pick up the flavor of the bacon, too, as it fries, and that will add more flavor into the finished quiche. Okay, while that's going to brown, let's whip up get our eggs going here. Okay, so we're going to put 4 eggs. Let's see, what else? Now, don't balk at this, but this is what the recipe calls for, and trust me, it tastes good. Now, I've used half and half cream, but this is whipping cream. And you need 2 cups of whipping cream. Okay? So each of these is 1 cup, so you need 2 of these. Okay. And we're going to whisk that together. And in here I have 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt and 1/8 of a teaspoon of ground nutmeg. Now that nutmeg gives it a distinctive flavor. And it just enhances the taste of everything that you're combining here. And you want to whisk them together. These little whisks are absolutely wonderful. I don't know how we got along without them before they were available to everyone. But there's our eggs. And basically, that's your whole filling for the quiche. Now, these onions are doing beautifully. You don't want them to get real brown. So I'm going to go ahead. These could cool down a little bit because they might start to cook the eggs, but hopefully they won't. I'm going to just go ahead and put them in here on top of the bacon. Okay. Okay, Ron, we see the time there. We're trying to get this done. And then I'm going to go ahead, after I have whipped the eggs, you want 1 cup of Swiss cheese, and you're going to stir it in. You don't whip it in. You stir it in. And this is shredded. You can use grated or whatever. Any kind of cheese you want is fine. Whatever kind you want. But you just stir it in, okay? Don't forget, too, if you whisk that, with that whipping cream in there, if you whisk it too much, you end up with something that resembles a little bit like whipped cream. You don't want that. So don't do it, don't overdo it. And then we're just going to pour this over top of that crumbled bacon. Make sure you get it all out. This will go into a preheated oven. Important to make sure that it's very hot. This will be at 425. And this is a two-process because after you have cooked it for a while at 425, then you will lower your temperature, because what the 425 does, it crisps up the crust and holds it so that as this is cooking, when you reduce the heat, then this will cook up right and the crust doesn't get so brown that it burns. Okay, so here we go. I better open the oven first because I have a feeling I'm not good with one hand with something like this. All right, 425 preheated oven. Okay. Now, there's also a hint that you can put your filling in a pitcher and lay your pie crust on the rack and then open it and pour the filling in and then just push in so you don't ever make a mess. I haven't perfected that every time I do that, though, so bear with me, but you can do that if you have a hard time getting it, if you have a long distance from your counter to the oven. All right, so we have the quiche going, and like I said, we're going to bake this for 15 minutes. Let me set my timer just so we do it right, okay? Now, to go along with this wonderful luncheon that we're having for our special ladies or our special friends, we want to do a special kind of a tossed salad, something out of the ordinary. And I like to put, with the quiche or anything with eggs, I like the fruit flavor to go with that. So this salad that we're doing is going to be a pecan tossed salad. And instead of just using plain lettuce, which is what we normally do, we're going to combine the spinach and the lettuce together. So first of all, you're going to take, a couple of cups, say about 3 cups of, this is iceberg lettuce. It's been thoroughly cleaned and dried, and it's nice and crisp. You don't want to cut it, because if you cut it, you have that metal against this, and this will brown and rust out real fast. So you tear it into bite-sized bits, making sure. One time I made this and, a piece of it got buried, and somebody got it in their dish, and they picked up a fork, and there was a piece. I was so embarrassed. I said, here, let me help you with that for a minute. It's embarrassing when you don't get it all torn apart there, and this person's standing with this fork full of lettuce that you don't know what to do with. But anyway, take the time to be sure that you've torn it apart. Now, I don't expect you to have a measuring cup and say, is this 3 cups of lettuce? Just kind of gauge that with your eye, because if it's a little more or a little less, it's not going to change the outcome of the salad. This has, like I said, the fruit flavors. It has oranges and grapes and pecans. It's a nice, refreshing, different salad. Sometimes you get tired of the tomato and the onion and the lettuce and celery and cucumber deal, and this is just a refreshing change. Make sure you get that hard vein. See that hard vein? Make sure you get that out, because that's very bitter. I remember one time some of the guys here, and I think our director was in on this too, our director Steve Johnson. We were talking about fruits, and I think Larry James said, did you ever taste a banana and get that little piece at the end that's the most bitter taste of anything you ever ate in your life? And I knew what they were talking about, but I never would have expressed it that way. But Larry's saying, that little thing at the end that's so bitter that if you bite that, remember that, Larry? Yeah, Larry remembers it because he had bitten it a few times. Well, there's some things in the foods that we eat that you wonder, well, why would that be there? Why is that there? God created all this stuff for us to enjoy. But it's like the cherries have the pits, and the banana has that little hard thing, and the lettuce has this little vein here that is not too appealing. All right, so anyway, I'm going to pull that little bit off because it's rusty. So we have a couple of cups of iceberg lettuce, cold and crisp. This is spinach. Now, you know that spinach is a pain to clean because sand, all these curly little leaves, sand and bugs and all kind of stuff, dirt gets stuck in those. But this is beautifully clean, and look how crisp that is. Spinach is wonderful. All right, we're going to take about 3 cups. 1, 2, and maybe a little bit more. That's about 3 cups. Let's mix that around. Carefully measure the 3 cups of spinach. Not really, because you can't. I think I'll put a little bit more. Anyway, all right, we've got the spinach and the iceberg lettuce here. All right. Very good. Now, what we're going to do is add some grapes. These are some nice big grapes. Our friends over there at Jordan Banana Company provide us with all these goodies. And what you're going to do, of course, you wash everything off first before you even begin to handle any of it. Get everything. It's the easiest way to prepare a recipe. That's the easiest way to be sure that you have all the ingredients and that you're not in the middle of something and you realize, oh my goodness, I don't have it. That's horrible. So you wash and clean, make sure everything is sitting there and ready for you, okay? We want about a cup of grapes, nice, fresh, no mushy ones, please, all nice and crisp, and take that little stem thing out, make sure they're all, like you know the freshness of a grape is when you crunch it, it pops. That's how you know that it's good and fresh. So what we're going to do, we're just going to slice these in half. Now this could take a lot of time. So what I do, I try to line them up. See, like marbles, they kind of roll sometimes. But if you can line these up, I mean, you can do this in no time at all. Let's see. You'll have to have a long knife. Ha ha. See? Well, 3 of them worked for anyway. But anyways, line these up and cut them in half. The lining up takes longer than the actual cutting in half if you do them one by one, so it doesn't take that much time. This way, this can be, you can prepare this ahead of time and then do your quiche last. And as soon as the company comes or your friends come in, you're ready to go because you don't have a lot of last-minute preparation. I hate when I'm entertaining to be running around the kitchen like a wild person trying to get everything on the table at one time. And I feel like I leave my guests sitting there and they're like waiting. Okay, well, you know, I don't like that. I think when you have company, the most important thing to do is to make them feel welcome, make them feel at home. Don't be saying, George, what'd I do with that tablecloth? Where's the napkins? That should all be ahead of time. And if you have small children, give them a responsible part in preparing for a special occasion. Let some of them go and, you know, run upstairs and get this for you. Let them, Sister Judy Chavez, who was on our program and made Mexican food, she calls Linda Wilson's daughter Sister Young Legs because her legs, she says, can run faster and get there quicker than anybody else's, so she has her doing her errands for her. And I think she's got a point there. All right, I would say that's close to a cup. If not, we can adjust it as we go along. We're going to put all the grapes right in there together. Okay, add the grapes. Doesn't that look nice already? I love the colors. And then these are the mandarin oranges. They're really like baby regular oranges. They're like the ones that didn't make it quite. But they're really a special strain. They aren't just baby oranges. And they come in a can and you drain them well. And they're sweeter, so much sweeter. And they're one of the favorites at our house. We like mandarin oranges very well. Sometimes I open a can of those. We have them at breakfast time with our cereal. It's very good. All right, so we've got the mandarin oranges. We've got the red grapes, seedless red grapes. Now we're going to add some green onions, a couple of tablespoons of green onions. You say, green onions with fruit? Yes, you'll like it. Trust me, it won't be that bad. All right, and then the crowning touch is some wonderful big pecans. Now, if you want to caramelize these, you can. If you want to roast them, you can. But I like them just out of the can like this. Okay? A little bit more. Okay. So we have everything together. Now what we're going to do is make our dressing for this. And if you have a glass jar that has a tightly fitting lid, that's what you'd want to use for this because you can shake it and then just pour it on. But if you don't, it'll work fine because you want to combine. I have 1/4 cup of oil. And I have 2 tablespoons of cider vinegar. Now I'm using canola oil here. You could use any kind that you really prefer, but the canola oil is better for us. Cider vinegar, not white. The cider is from apples, and that gives it some more additional flavor. Okay, and then I need a tablespoon of sugar. Let me see here. Tablespoon of sugar. Wrong one. Here we go. And I think what the sugar does is just cuts the taste of, now I need a spoon. It cuts the taste of the vinegar being real strong, and it will perk up the flavors of the fruits that we have there. So we're just going to add 1 tablespoon of sugar, we're going to mix this around. This is going to be our dressing for this salad. Now, if you get to this point and you think, well, that's not going to be enough, just follow the instructions and make some more. But I wouldn't put this real heavy with the dressing. I think the fruit needs to come out, and you need to be able to taste that without too much of a dressing. And you just pour it all over your salad. Does that look good? And so refreshing, just so refreshing. And I would mix it a bit. See how nice and shiny? Look how those fruits and those wonderful grapes in there. How good that looks. I won't even bother with, salt and pepper and stuff. I don't think you need that in here. This is such a healthy salad. The pecans in there, and the oranges, the grapes, the delicious spinach, all of it. Just what you need to go with a quiche luncheon. Then you say, well, Arlene, what will we have for dessert? Funny you should ask, because I'm going to show you what we thought would be a perfect ending. Since we had the oranges in the salad, we thought this might be nice for dessert. And what we've done, we've taken some oranges, and all you do is really cut them. Take your little paring knife and you cut the zigzag up and down, okay? So 2 of these would be 1, in other words. Well, maybe not those. Yeah, it might fit together. Okay, then you pull the oranges out, okay? Set it on a little bed of lettuce, and we have a little piece of lime and a little piece of lemon there, and we put a strawberry just to break up the color. But what I'm going to add there is something that I think would be the perfect ending for a Quiche Lorraine luncheon, and that is some beautiful light lime sherbet. Now, I think that's a nice ending to that, don't you? I think that if you want something heavy with this, I don't think it would be good. I think it would be too much. It would be too filling for a luncheon. So you just kind of spoon. Look at that. Spoon your sherbet. And kids love this too. If you're having a party for kids, give them a chance. Do something special like this for them, and they'll love it. Because it's out of the ordinary. That's what kids like. Something that Mom did just for them. So we've got our quiche going in the oven. We have our salad made. We're doing our desserts. Now, I wouldn't do this much ahead of time, but I just wanted to show you exactly what you could do very quickly for a luncheon for your friends, for a special aunt, for a relative. Sometimes we get caught up in the everyday things that we have to do that's so important to us, and we tend to forget. We know we feel an obligation that we should have somebody over. We need to have them over because I like to be around them, but we're so busy that we just don't take the time. Well, maybe we need to stop and analyze if all the things that we're doing are as important as just making somebody feel special for a day. And whether that somebody is an aunt or a close friend or even your daughter or your son, it's worth it to do it. It doesn't take time. This hasn't taken a lot of time. And maybe the quiche isn't the thing that you'd like to do for that special lunch. Maybe there's a special sandwich or something that somebody has said to you, boy, I'd like to try that sometime, but I know I can never make it. Well, maybe you can. So invite them to come over and spend a couple of hours with you, and the 2 of you in the kitchen learn how to make it together. That's a lot of fun. And I think that you'll feel good because you've done it, and I know the person that you have invited will feel just great because you will have made them feel so special for that one afternoon or those couple of hours. And that's what it's really all about, just pleasing somebody. When we cook for our families or whatever we're doing, we're giving to them part of ourselves, and that's never a waste. Well, I have to check the quiche, so while I'm doing that, will you check how you can get all these recipes that you've seen today, and we'll be back in just a minute. Now that's recipe 118, and it's very important that you include that with your request for recipes because that helps us to know just which ones to send you, and all that have been done on today's program will be included in recipe request 118. Also, please remember, don't forget to put a self-addressed stamped envelope inside the envelope that comes to us. Some of you have been forgetting it. Now, not everybody, but some of you have, and I just want to ask you, You know, we don't ask for anything for the recipes. We don't request any money. And some of you have been sending donations, and we appreciate that because that really helps a lot. So we just feel that if we don't charge for the recipes, then we would ask you to do the self-addressed stamped envelope, because that's going to help you do your part, we'll do our part, and everything will be fine. So again, that's recipe 118 for the quiche and the salad and the desserts that we have today. Well, we're sitting here at the table. I'm sitting here at the table waiting for my guests to come, and I wish it were you. I wish you could be here with us, because the quiche is ready. Didn't it turn out beautiful? And yours will too when you try it. Just decorate with a few little pieces of tomato and a little bit of parsley in the middle. And then the first course then, of course, is our salad. And look how it glistens. It's just beautiful and so tasty. Delicious with fruit, heavy with fruit and pecans, and a very mild dressing on it. And then, of course, our lime sherbet in our little orange cups. I hope that you're enjoying At Home. We are really enjoying. We have such a wonderful crew that works with us. I can't thank them enough. They do a fine job. And I'm really pleased that I have a privilege to bring you these programs, because I enjoy them and I know that you do. So be sure to join us the next time, because like I always say, it just wouldn't be the same without you right here at home. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Fresh produce provided by Jordan Banana, wholesalers of fresh fruit and vegetables in Dravosburg, PA. Cookware provided by Woolies. Your favorite gourmet deserves the best for less at Woolly Balcony Cookware. Groceries provided by Foodland, where the answer is always yes. Cornerstone Television wishes to thank all our faithful viewers whose consistent prayers and financial support have made this program possible.